Okay, so to go on in a closed session, do we need to formally open the meeting, or how do we?
Yep, so we'll start with opening and roll call, then we'll vote to go into closed session. And then everyone else will leave the room and we'll do closed session, and then everyone back before we're ready to go to open and vote to go in.
Okay, so I'm ready when you are. So we're here for the 1,657th meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'd like a roll call, please.
All right, roll call. Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Here.
Mr. Nikozison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay, the next item is to go to closed session to discuss personnel actions under revised statute of Missouri, section 610.021, paragraph 3.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Oh, I'm sorry, was there a second?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nikozison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
All right, we're in closed session.
All right, can I get a motion to come out of closed session, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're back in open session.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the journal of the preceding meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I do have a comment today. Per section 7.320 of the Charter of the District, the Board of Trustees shall make a finding of fact to determine the amount of taxes which shall be levied, assessed, and collected in the district and subdistricts. For fiscal year 2023, finding of fact committee shall consist of trustees Fair, Wilson, Wabi, and myself. The finding of this committee shall be included in the fiscal year 2023 budget ordinance currently scheduled to be considered for the adoption at the June Board of Trustees meeting. For those of you in attendance at the meeting tonight, I would like to remind you of the rules regarding public comment. First, all individuals wishing to speak should have filled out a blue comment card upon entering the building. Second, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Finally, if there are multiple individuals wishing to speak on the same topic, please select someone to speak for the group. As the chairman, it will be my responsibility to enforce these rules as I see fit. That concludes my comments. Trustee Wilson, can you read the, Trustee Watson, can you read the report of the Audit Committee?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Audit Committee meeting board's comments report. The Audit Committee met on April 5th, 2022 at 7:30 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Watson, Evans, and Wilson, with Trustees Fair and Nicholson attending online. Chairperson Watson called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the March 1st, 2022 Audit Committee meeting were approved. There were no agenda items for presentation and only discussion regarding the following items. Internal audit process review of the district's procurement function. Todd Loretta presented a report for the audit engagement, which consisted of a process review of the district's procurement function. Specifically, the engagement involved in a review of the district's processes and controls in place for selecting suppliers and vendors to provide the various materials, equipment, and services required by the district for its operations. The scope period for reviewing and testing individual procurement transactions was fiscal years 2020, 21, and 22. The engagement received a satisfactory of clean opinion. One opportunity for improvement was presented and discussed with the committee. The item focused on the appropriate processing procedures for purchase orders of $10,000 or more. During the presentation, questions were addressed by the internal audit as they were received from the committee. There is no board action required at this time. The next audit committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for May 3rd, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 7:44 a.m. This concludes the Audit Committee Board comment report.
Thank you. Trustee Nicholson, can you read the report of the Program Management Committee meeting?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone. The Program Management Committee met on April 5th, 2022 at 7:45 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Evans, Wilson, and Watson, with Nicholson and Fair online. Chairperson Nicholson called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the March 1st, 2022 Program Management meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance numbers 15881 through 15885. Staff provided details of 5 CSO volume reduction green infrastructure grants being awarded to reduce combined sewer overflows to the Mississippi River and River de Pere per the consent decree. Staff provided details of the grants being awarded to Washington University School of Medicine, Rankin Technical College, Cornerstone, SOGRO, LLC, and Tower Grove Park for various volume reducing improvements. Staff requested authorization to enter into intergovernmental agreements with the City of Des Peres and St. Louis County within the Deer Creek, Sugar Creek, and Coldwater Creek OMCI taxing districts. The agreements will allow MSD to reimburse municipalities for storm sewer projects as part of the district's OMCI reimbursement program. Staff provided a brief description of the proposed projects to the committee. The funding and appropriations for the reimbursement program were previously approved under separate ordinances. Ordinance number 15890, staff provided bid and appropriation details for the St. George Creek Sanitary Relief Project. Staff provided specifics on the bids received and explained construction impacts causing the project to be over budget. Ordinance number 15891, staff discusses unplanned supplemental funding appropriation for the Reasoner Drive storm sewer currently under construction. Additional funding is required due to relocating the existing water main and service connections, which are in direct conflict of the proposed sewer. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for May 3rd, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 8:04 a.m. And this concludes the Program Management Board comments report.
Thank you. Trustee Fair, can you read the Finance Committee meeting report, please?
Certainly. The Finance Committee met on April 1st, 2022 at 8:06 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Wilson, Evans, Watson, and Trustees Nickerson and myself online. I called roll, had no further comments. The minutes of the March 1st, 2022 Finance meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance number 15893, Payroll, Time Reporting, and Benefits Software as a Service, SAS project. Jonathan Sprague presented ordinance number 15893. This ordinance will authorize the district to enter into an annual contract with UKG Kronos for payroll and benefit administration services, implementation services with a cost of $145,425 and will be led by the Information Technology Department. Annual services costs of $249,513 will be budgeted in the HR general operating budget starting in fiscal year 23. The initial service contract will commence after successful implementation and will have a term of 1 year with 4 additional 1-year renewal terms at the option of the district. Resolution number 3744, designation of underwriting team for the Wastewater System Revenue and Refunding Bond Series 2022B. This resolution designates the firms to underwrite the district's 2022B Wastewater System Revenue and Refunding Series 2022B bonds. The district is naming 5 firms selected from a pool of 15 approved underwriters to market a portion of the $900 million of bonds that were authorized by voters on April 5th, 2016. The pool of 15 underwriters was approved by the board on April 13th, 2017. Compensation of the underwriters is based on the actual sales volume of each transaction. Other items discussed during the committee meeting included the following. Secretary-Treasurer Tim Snoke reviewed the district's operating fund portfolio as of March 31st, 2022, and indicated that the portfolio complies with the district's investment policy. Tim also reviewed the various borrowing sources that the district utilizes to fund its capital program. Executive Director Brian Holscher, Director of Finance Marion Gee, and Director of Engineering Rich Underforth presented the district's fiscal year 23 strategic business operating plan and preliminary budget. Marion also discussed the next steps in the budget process, which will conclude with staff requesting adoption of the budget during the June 9th Board of Trustees meeting. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 9:06 a.m. This concludes the Finance Committee Board Comments Report.
Thank you. Trustee Wilson, can you read the report of the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting, please?
Yes, I can. The Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting board comment report. The Stakeholder Relations Committee met on April 5th at 2022 at 9:08 a.m. The meeting was attended by Chairperson Wilson, Trustees Evans and Watson, and via Teams, Trustees Fair and Nickerson. Chairperson Wilson called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the March 1st, 2022 Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were approved. The semi-annual diversity report and agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented. Semi-annual diversity report. Donna Paradis gave a presentation summarizing the MBE, WBE utilization and workforce metrics of MSD's capital improvement replacement program, including workforce utilization and small contractor programs for the first half of fiscal year 2022. Donna then provided an update on MSD's community benefits agreement activities, including education and internship programs. He then provided the trustees with a summary of recommendations regarding MSD's recently completed disparity study update, including workforce recommendation. There is no board action required at this time. Resolution number 3741, Employee Benefit Consulting Services. This resolution authorizes the district to exercise option year 2 of 3 option years with Gallagher Benefit Services to provide employee benefits consulting services. Resolution number 3742, Insurance, Brokerage, and Consulting Services. This resolution will exercise the district's 4th option year with Charles L. Crane Agency to provide insurance, brokerage, and consultant services from September the 1st, 2022 to August the 31st, 2023. Resolution number 3743, third-party claims administration services. This resolution will exercise the district's 4th option year with Thomas McGee to provide third-party claims administration services from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. At approximately 9:30 a.m., Chairperson Wilson requested a motion to move into closed session to discuss legal, confidential, or privileged matters under Section 610.021, Paragraph 1, and all trustees concurred. At approximately 10:12 a.m., Chairperson requested a motion to end the closed session and return to open session, and all trustees concurred. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for May 3rd, 2022. The meeting was adjourned at 10:13 a.m. This concludes the Stakeholder Relations Committee Board Comments Report.
Thank you. Do we have a report of the Executive Director?
No report, sir.
Do we have any comments from the public?
You do not.
Submission of public hearing reports?
There are none.
Communications?
None.
On to the consent agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The consent agenda tonight is items 11 through 17. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Yes.
Mr. Nikozison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, that will take us to new business. As always, we'll start with ordinances and item 18, which is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15881, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Washington University School of Medicine for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction and the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Newstead Avenue Storm Improvements Project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nikozison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 19 is the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15882, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Rankin Technical College for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Rankin 4377 Evans project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nikozison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 20, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15883, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Cornerstone Sogro LLC for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Sogro Apartments Phase 1 project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nikozison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 21, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15884, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Washington University School of Medicine for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction and the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure WSM 1234 South Kings Highway parking project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 22, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15885, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Tower Grove Park for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction and the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Tower Grove Park East Stream Restoration Project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 23, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15886, authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of De Pere for cost sharing for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Deer Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 24, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15887, authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of De Pere for cost sharing for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Sugar Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 25, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15888, authorizing the district to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with St. Louis County for cost sharing for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Coldwater Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 26, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15889, making an appropriation of $2.65 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for infrastructure repairs. Contract B in the city of St. Louis and various municipalities in St. Louis County and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with SAK Construction. Motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 27, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15890, making an appropriation of $4.2 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for St. George Creek sanitary relief in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Keeley Construction Group. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 28, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15891, making a supplemental appropriation of $125,000 from the Operation Maintenance Construction Improvement Fund of Coldwater Creek to be used for storm sewer construction in the Reeser Drive Storm Sewer Project in cities of Calverton Park and Ferguson, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Tailor Made Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 29, the introduction of proposed ordinance number 15892, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with O.R. Colon Associates for general services agreement easement acquisition services to provide easement acquisition services associated with the acquisition of easement rights by negotiation or condemnation. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 30 is introduction and adoption of proposed ordinance number 15893, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with UKG Kronos to provide software and services for payroll, time reporting, and benefits administration for the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, that takes us to resolutions. Item 31 is the adoption of Resolution 3739, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Keith Kyman for his 24 years of exemplary service to the district from April 7th, 1997 excuse me, to his retirement effective April 1st, 2022. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 32, the adoption of Resolution 3740, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Richard L. Parrott for his 41 years of exemplary service to the district from March 17, 1982, his retirement effective April 1st, 2022. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 33 is the adoption of Resolution 3741 to exercise option year 3 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 15168, adopted June 13, 2019, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Gallagher Benefit Services to provide comprehensive benefit consulting. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 34, the adoption of Resolution 3742 to exercise option year 4 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 14974, adopted August 16, 2018, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Charles L. Crane to provide insurance brokerage and insurance consultant services to the district. For motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Item 35 is the adoption of Resolution 3743 to exercise option year 4 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 14918, adopted June 14, 2018, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Thomas McGee to provide claims administration services for water backup, workers' compensation, general liability, auto errors and omissions, and any other claim against the district and trustees or district staff. Motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Item 36, the adoption of Resolution 3744, authorizing the financing team for the district's 2022B wastewater system revenue and refunding series 2022B bonds. The resolution designates the firms to underwrite the bonds and authorizes the district to enter into an agreement with the senior manager. Their motion, which is Bank of America. Their motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
And item 37, the adoption of Resolution 3745 to authorize the suspension of sections 1, 2, and 4 of Resolution number 3702 that was adopted September 9th, 2021. This is the resolution that set a mandatory testing policy for the suspension of these sections would suspend mandatory for staff and contractors. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. And I know we didn't talk about this at committee meetings, so I just want to ask, is there any discussion anybody would like to have or any comment? If not,
We did discuss it at committee.
we discussed it,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we hadn't
Yeah, I'm
discussed
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry. It's been
No,
discussed.
you're fine.
Yeah.
So now the vote, Mr. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Wabi,
Pass.
Mr. Nicholasison,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Fair,
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. We do have one item that I want to make you aware of that will be brought for introduction and adoption at the next board meeting. It is the 2022 B Bond Ordinance. This ordinance will ask for the board's approval to actually approve some of the terms of the bond. So we'll have parameters like we've done before, interest rate parameters, terms parameters, cost of issuance parameters that we'll ask you to approve, and then we will report back on the final terms of the bond after. And then other than that, it looks like there's no other business to be brought before the board, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys May 3rd.
Yes.